I think we all decided we
are on
needed to.
air. Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk Coffee Shop. This is episode 5, and we are here talking about the Singtel announcement that they actually are rolling. There are two announcements, okay? They're rolling out LTE commercial wide at a 50% of Singapore wide, and the second one is I think would matter more to all Singaporeans out there that are Singtel users currently.
And StarHub.
And StarHub, of course, which is the Singtel telco is actually reducing the 12 gig limit for a bundle cap or whatever, right? It's not a cap, it's just a bundle data, right? To only 2 gigs, 3 gigs, 4 gigs, and 6 gigs, right? Depending on which data plan you are, or rather which price plan or what do you call that? Which phone plan or whatever you subscribe to, right?
How much you're paying per month, basically, right?
But you're still remaining, you're going to pay the same thing, same amount still, right? They're not changing the pricing at all, but they're reducing the amount of data that they're bundling. So, without further ado, let's talk about it. Guys, what are your thoughts?
In fact, I was slightly surprised, but I kind of expected it somewhere at the back of my mind that this was going to happen someday.
Right.
I think Hisham tweeted about it. Hisham was like, this was bound to happen. Tiered pricing was bound to happen, and today is the day, so big deal.
No, I mean it was actually hinted to me quite a bit already actually since last year with the iPhone 4S launch. It was kind of hinted to me that this was actually coming, and in fact I kind of welcome it, to a certain extent, right? Even though I am actually one of the really heavy users that will exceed the whatever data that they give me that's bundled, right? So in fact, I kind of welcome it, and it's something different that a lot of people online, when they announce it, they don't welcome it. They're like, why Singtel, why?
So what was Singtel's data? They were saying 80% of the people, 90% of the people don't use more than 2 GBs, right?
No. So what they're saying, okay, so for correction is that what they're saying is that they have priced it, or they've reduced the number of the data to a point where for each plan, of the plan, right, only 10% of the users or subscribers will be affected.
We'll have to pay more.
We'll have to pay more, basically, right?
We'll go over the whatever limits that they have set for that individual plan.
Exactly.
Right? So herein lies the problem, I think, is that this 10% of people are the ones who are going to be the most vocal about it.
Exactly, and that's exactly what happened on Twitter, right? When they announced it a few days ago, which there was a big uproar on Twitter, on Facebook, on everywhere that's online.
Yep.
And absolutely. I think the reason why people are so shocked at this is that they feel like they have no control. And I think one of the biggest problems with the way mobile plans are set up in Singapore is that data is bundled into your voice and your text. I mean, the other big thing that they fettered during this announcement was that they were giving us double, or was it a huge number more of text messages.
Who uses that anyway?
Precisely. In this day and age, no one uses text messages anymore.
There was a mean joke going around saying that now they're gonna have to. And people only use text messages because data doesn't work. Because you can't use WhatsApp, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a backup. But herein lies the problem: is most people today they would probably want to use data more than phone or text messages.
Well, I wouldn't say most people, right? And I think that's what you kind of
some
mentioned,
people,
right?
Population.
And most people who are on Twitter and Facebook, you definitely will want to use data more than.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, if you think about it, right, like majority of the time, based on what Singtel is saying, right, majority of the time they would probably not be using over that 2 gigs, or if they're at the lowest plan, right, and if they're at the higher plans, they'll probably not go exceed that amount. What I'm not happy about is that they didn't come up with a kind of for the 10% to cater for the 10%, right? They actually didn't come up with like an additional add-on bundle, which is what I'm not happy about.
Oh,
but,
absolutely.
You know,
but they didn't reduce the price for the excess data, right? It's what, $5 a gig.
Now it's $5.34 a gig, as opposed to like the insane amount, like what, $5 and something per meg.
Yeah.
Which I guess you could argue is some way of mitigating that, because if you are one of those power users, $5 a gig is not that much. It's still not more than going for the next plan up.
All right. So just to get like a sense
part of your bundle.
Oh yeah, of course. But I mean, it's just to get a sense of all those people who are affected, right? It's like if most people I've talked to uses about 6 to 8 gigs, right? The really power users like us, right? Like me, right? Anywhere from 4 to 6 to 8 gigs, and that's just an additional of anywhere from $10, $11 odd, all the way to about like $30, right? So one of the things that I wish they would have done was actually created a kind of a 2 gig, 4 gig, additional 2 gig, additional 4 gig, and additional 6 gig kind of package, right? Where you're paying a lesser amount. Which is what most countries do, but they're not doing it now. They're just doing it.
So like a prepaid option, right? Instead of so it's because you pay it every month anyway, you get a little bit of discount than actually having to be billed per MB or whatever you end up getting billed.
So, Daniel, what do you have? Any thoughts on this?
I think that the first thing is that, first of all, we can no longer deny the fact that the amount of data that people are using is exceeding the amount of bandwidth that's actually possible today over mobile, and I think that is an issue that at somehow, one way or another, it is an issue of both sides, both the users as well as the service provider needs to compromise at some point.
Okay. I have an issue with that point. Especially there was a statement in the write-up from Singtel that's saying that the rising costs of moving data, and I was like, since when does moving data cost money?
I agree with that part, that the way that they explained it was totally like ridiculous. But I mean, come on, we all know the fact that there's a bandwidth, there's a whole idea of bandwidth, right?
Right, absolutely.
And with the sudden surge of smartphones in the past couple of years, the network is obviously not catching up with the amount of data that's being transferred today.
Yeah. By the way, I have a major problem with that, because let's be clear here. If you're going to be selling a product to the consumer and stating very clearly that you'll be able to use it for a certain function, and to later backtrack and say, oh, I'm sorry, we got that wrong. We are we're giving you this great phone with all these functions, but you can only use it in these certain conditions.
Yeah, well, okay.
There's a fundamental misjudgment on the part of Singtel, and the other major issue is a lack of investment on the part of Singtel, because let's be honest, the backline, the fiber optic backline is all there. They just need to make full use of it, and they're not.
So just to comment on that, right? It's not so much about the back end. It's really more in terms of the front end, where the wireless connection between your phone to the base station, and that is the problem, and that is the bottleneck. It's not so much about the speed from the back end. It's really the wireless connection, and wireless has always been a huge problem and a tough nut to crack, right? You literally need a nuclear scientist kind of level of genius to actually come up with a solution.
Okay, I understand in a situation like, let's say there's a big concert and things go down. That's perfectly understandable. But on a day-to-day basis, is it such that at a normal rate of data use, that Singtel is no longer able to cope with it? And then the question becomes, why are they advertising these speeds and this sort of
advertising aside, and what Singtel has been saying in the past aside, right? I mean, okay, that part, sure, I agree with you that companies shouldn't have done that, and companies like to do this kind of thing. They like to promise, and they overestimate, underestimate, whatever, right? Because I mean, this is what marketing is all about. But I'm just looking at the situation here, regardless of whatever ridiculous stuff that they've been saying so far. The situation is that there's not enough You know, there's too many data devices. People are using too much data for the system to be able to cope. So on this end, it's a physical problem that that Singtel is trying to, they have to try and find a way to expand it or make it better or whatever. And then on the user side of things, there needs to be some solution on the mobile devices and to try and to do some quality of service and or whatever. So this is the fact that is happening right now.
It reminds me of remember when was it 3G, iPhone 3G, or one of the iPhones came out. There was a big issue with the data rates, right? And AT&T was talking about Apple. One of the events, actually, Steve Jobs brought up AT&T CEO, and he talked about basically it took them a year to get a new cell tower up, constructed, with all the, city license, whatever, you have to go and get the permissions to put up a new cell tower from, 10 different organizations, city council and whatnot, and then you actually, hook it up and you test it, and then you get it vetted by, another 10 different organizations, and then you put it in, right? And
don't forget this, the density in Singapore is increasing at a crazy rate. I mean, you take a look at the amount of people on the trains in the city area, the CBD area. I literally, today, I took a bus, from the east side of Singapore into town, right? The moment I reach town, my data is completely dead.
My question then is why? Why is this even a problem that we as the consumer should have to contend with? Shouldn't it be a question of them investing and making sure that they are
whatever, right? Yeah. But the thing is that
they are actually investing, right? So I think it's not only just we can't just put the blame on the telco themselves, right? We also have to put the blame on the smartphone themselves, right? They like, for example, the iOS, Apple iOS, and also of course the Android and the other various devices like Windows Phone 7 and all the smartphone devices.
Apps as well.
They are actually not utilizing or rather making it what we call data smart, right? And optimizing in such a way that in terms of compression, making full use of compression technologies to minimize the data transfer, only transfer when it's required, and so on and so forth, right? Having as much cache as possible, and only instead of transferring in terms of development, right? In terms of instead of transferring huge amount of text, right? Like for example XML, we could actually use a lighter weight representation, for example like JSON, right? And those are some of the things, right? It's like to make it lighter weight, where the compression rate will make it even lesser to 1 KB, less than 1 KB kind of data for apps, right?
You see, right? Because the issue here, right, is that nobody saw it coming. Right? The whole...
This is kind of hard to believe when AT&T complained about this 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with you. I agree with you. It's not easy, right? I agree with you. It's not easy, but I do definitely think that I can't accept that Singtel didn't see this coming, or the telcos in Singapore didn't see this coming, because this been around for...
I think, this probably, perhaps then it's a misjudgment on their part.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's probably more likely.
This is unforgivable. I mean, as a telco, it is unforgivable that you should be aggressively marketing all these products. And
alright.
I know as a consumer that's my point of view, but from the point of view of the telco, they are going to always say that there's a limit to what we can do. But the fact of the matter is, because they had warning. I think that's my issue, is that they had one.
So that's what I was trying to say at the very beginning. Whether that they can be forgiven or not, it doesn't matter anymore. At this point in time, what they're going to say, what they did wrong or whatever, it doesn't. There's no point arguing about it, because the thing is, there's a physical limit happening here, right? And its entire ecosystem needs to change in order for this to help out. Look, as a developer, I never think about the data that's going to be happening on the mobile phone. If I was to write a mobile application, I'm just imagining that I'm going to get received, the same amount of data that I would write on a web browser application.
But weren't like when the iPhone came out, right? There so many restrictions about what kind of stuff you would, at least in the US, right? Like I remember AT&T iPhones had humongous restrictions on what kind of applications you could download on 3G and what kind of you had to have Wi-Fi, and all these things were there at the start, right? So what happened to them?
Okay, so those things are the small things, right? That whatever things they can control, which is on the operating system side, right? So meaning the official applications all had restrictions. So like the amount of the size of the application that you can download had restrictions.
Yep.
Past that, all right, GameLoft launched a MMORPG, or World of Warcraft scale MMORPG on the mobile phone. How much data is that going to consume, right? Streaming applications, Vimeo, right? YouTube is bypassing the official YouTube application to allow people to stream HD video on their iPhones, right? There's so many services out there, so many applications, and they are increasing at an insane rate, right? Everybody is coming up with data-heavy applications because nobody, to be honest, for developers, it's not their responsibility at this point in time.
Well, I mean, it's like it's like a nice value thing, right? I mean, you should kind of think about that when you develop an application.
You should. But the thing is that at this point in time, no developer is thinking about it because
So is it a question of education? Is it a question of saying to developers that you have to be like?
I mean, if you think about it from a...
It's also a question of we cannot put the blame on the developer completely, right? It's also a question of how...
Well, no one gets any blame.
No. Completely, right? It's not... blaming them completely or not, right? Yes, they do have to get the blame, right? But also on the operating system side, right? They could have done some compression that is on the SDK side to actually make it simpler for the developer to, use as little data as possible, right?
Correct.
To encourage that, to use little bit of data, from an SDK point of view.
Yeah, remember the argument we had way back when we talked about how Apple was restricting controlling. And, we were having this discussion when Apple was announcing multitasking on the iOS, right? And what we said was that back in the Windows Phone days, right, every developer felt that their application should be the most important application on their phone. Right? Now it's the same case for data, right? Like, as a developer, why should I have to sacrifice my application? Why shouldn't this other developer be sacrificing? There's like millions of applications out there. Like, why can't they be the one who reducing their quality and I just, shine? So, I mean, this kind of thing has to be controlled.
And it's kind of getting more complicated than that, right? Because the telco issue is a little bit more regional, and the developer issue is a lot more global, right? So, on a global basis, the kind of pain that regional apps or regional developers or regional users feel is a lot less than at that level.
Yeah, especially for a country.
Let's really back into Singapore then with regards to Singtel, right? Singtel. So in that sense, Singtel, what can they actually do better, right, to actually relieve
it's interesting because
transition?
I think you make it's a very good question to be asked, because at the same time as lowering these data caps, they also launched their 4G service, which seems like a bit of sugar and a bit of medicine.
But the 4G is a different network, so you really can't compare the fact that it's
But the thing is isn't it the same data cap?
No. So one of the things, right? One of the things that they're trying to do is they want to start the 4G LTE from a fresh new start and slowly grow that, right? Rather than when the 3G came out, and then you have all the iPhone and everything, and then suddenly, everyone just came in. And
I must say that Singapore is the only place where you had 12 gigs data caps from day one for all plans, right? That's amazing. That's really amazing.
And we were very proud of that, but at the same time, our data speeds was the slowest in.
Well, it was okay at the start, right?
Yeah, it was okay at the start.
It went down pretty badly in the last. I mean, before I went to Sweden, it was pretty alright. I mean, that's when that was, I think, 2008 or 9. They started with 12 gigs, and I was like, wow, this is really good, and the speeds are good, and the caps are really high, so you never reach the cap, but you can actually surf quite well. But when I came back from Sweden last year, it was like,
do you note that the population has also increased dramatically 5 years ago, right? As opposed to now.
Yeah.
So there are a lot more
factor in the smartphone usage and all that. Yeah. It's not so much that the population has grown; it's that the smartphone population has grown.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, in that sense, also let's come back to that we mentioned in the beginning, right? That StarHub is also planning to actually do something similar and phase out. Let's see, what are they phasing out? They're phasing out their 12 gig data smart surf plan in the near future, right? And they have launched this new plan called the i2 Surf, right? Which is actually, in fact, lower than Singtel,
Yeah.
So just for those people who don't have the statistics right now, the basic plan, the very first tier, it's only giving 1 gig of data that's bundled. Okay, the second one, which is the second tier, which they are only giving 2 gigs, as opposed to Singtel, where they're giving 2 gigs for the first tier, 3 gigs for the second tier, and for the third tier for StarHub, they're giving 5 gigs only.
How much?
Sorry?
How much? What's the prices for the StarHub?
38, 58, and 98 for the for
So it's
StarHub.
the same price, but less.
Yes, exactly.
Less data.
A lot less data, right? And of course, for the last tier, right? For StarHub is 5 gigs, and for the last tier for Singtel is 4 gigs. That is probably the only plan that's higher on the StarHub.
But there's an interesting twist to it, right, Justin? The cap for the price you pay, the over price you pay, it's $30 for StarHub.
So here's the difference. Okay, here's the difference. StarHub, for the excess data charge, it will be still remaining the same at 1 kilobyte at 34 cents per kilobyte, right?
Who charges in kilobytes these days?
Yeah, I mean, who charges in kilobytes in these days, right? And it will cap at $30 a month. However, for Singtel, it's actually 1 gig for about $5.35, but at a cap of $88.
Whoa.
I would much rather go with StarHub in this case.
Yeah, so that means like what, 38 plus 30, which is $68 a month. You basically get unlimited, right?
Yeah, it's the max. I mean, yeah.
Right, which is actually, I did a calculation, it's about an additional of like 16 gigs. Who's going to use an additional of 16 gigs?
Yeah, that's true.
You see, the question I would like to ask actually as a general is how much data do we actually use? Because I have a 500 megabyte cap with Vodafone, and I've never breached it. Like, and I must confess I'm not a heavy user, but
so, like I mentioned in the beginning, right?
It's 500 megs, and I still don't hit the.
So like I mentioned in the beginning, right? For heavy users like me and several others out there, right? It's anywhere from 4 gigs to 8 gigs, and we never I mean, for those crazy people who exceed 12 gigs, that's me also, but that's another story altogether, right? But
I mean, I think it boils down to tethering, right?
Yeah, on average it's about 6 gigs to 8 gigs, right? 6 to 8 gigs about there, right?
Tethering is the thing.
And with the multiple devices that we have now, you know, that hardcore users like us, it's about there, right? So we will not exceed the 12 gigs. If they give us a plan, you know, an add-on plan, right, that actually gives us to add on a 4 gig, additional 4 gigs or 6 gigs or whatever that we can actually pay for at a cheaper price, maybe $5 cheaper or something like that, right? That'll be great. I don't know.
Yeah. Like a bundle, right? Like,
like
6 gigs for 6 gigs of 25 instead of 30, right? Like something like that.
I think the issue that I have is that even though they lowered the bundled data, they didn't lower the prices. Because I think if they lower the prices, if they lower the prices, that seems to be quite fair. You know, this is a physical limit. We're trying to solve it. We don't know how to solve. I'm sorry, I planned it wrongly. I didn't predict to the correct investment. I didn't do the. So all right, you know, we're gonna lower the cap, but since you're gonna be bundled less. We're going to charge you less.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. They actually increased the number of SMS.
Yeah, exactly. And like we said it at the beginning, right? Who cares about that?
Well, actually, in fact, right, there are people who actually care about that, and it represents a very small number, which is 10% of the lower tier. And in fact, you know, we don't see it because we are really up there. You know, we do a lot of data and whatnot, right? But for those people who don't really do a lot of data, for example, like you know, my mom or you know my grandmother or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
So what are they doing?
But they don't use that much. Yeah.
Actually, exactly. But they do more text than whatnot, right?
What are they doing? Signing up with the iFlexi plan with?
That's
with
true. They shouldn't be using the data plans, right?
They should be using the ones with just 500 megs or something like that.
But hey, you know, you think about it, right? You can look at the streets down, you know, aunties and uncles and grandmas and grandfathers, you know, they are all using iPhones and Androids and whatnot, right? So I mean, like, they don't know better, so they're just gonna get the 3G Flexi plan or whatever.
Just this afternoon, I saw on the train this lady, you know, she was basically text messaging. She's using SMS, but like an IM chat, right? I mean, it was that kind of, it was like WhatsApp, you know, like you basically she had one sentence, she would half type, then she would send, then the next one, and then she would half type, and then she would send. And for a second, I thought it was iMessage, right? So it was going over the data, so it wasn't. But it was actually SMS, right?
Exactly.
And she was using, think about it, even with 800 texts, how long is it going to take you to get through that?
Very fast.
Dude, if you do it like an IM chat, right? I mean, how many messages do you send in an IM chat with a person?
Hey guys, like
no.
like frankly speaking, you know, when Jarek, when before data was really like blown out, a big thing, right? When I was using SMSs, right?
Come on, Jerry, you know it.
Per month, I actually
secondary
used
school.
about 1,000 SMS.
Yeah, it's so
hold
common.
You say that, yeah, but for me, and you think that I'm like a big geek, right? I never bust my cap, and I had okay, or at least I'm very much on my phone, right, at least.
You're not
I never bust my
secondary
cap.
school girl. You're not a secondary school girl.
360 texts, I never got there, but still.
I mean, exactly, like,
no, I am not
in secondary school, right? Like even back then, right? When you have a girlfriend, or when I have a girlfriend, right? It's like, hey, you know, literally just blow 1,000 SMS like nobody's business, right? It's like, boom.
It's possible, Jerry. It's easy as well.
It is possible. It's very easy.
It's possible. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's not easy.
Okay, here's another perspective I was looking, since we're talking about reducing prices and stuff, right? I mean, if Singtel said that, you know, by reducing, by basically reducing it to by reducing the caps, right? Yes. They are going to only affect the top 10% of the users, right?
Yes, that's right.
How much is that going to help reduce their costs or their load?
So basically,
that's the question, right? Because I mean, basically they're saying that most people don't really screw it up, right?
Yes, exactly. So let me tell you.
Those will not change anyway.
Yes. So let me tell you I was at the press conference, so I can tell you all of this stuff.
I heard that stat as well.
You guys, all this stuff, right? So the statistics is that the 10% of the people that are using exactly. The 10% of the people that are using the data uses 60 to 80% of the data that's available, right? Leaving only 20%, 20 to 40% of the data bandwidth for that 90%.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
which I'm not surprised,
that sense,
right? Frankly, I'm not surprised.
In that sense, that what they're trying to do is, in fact, to change the habits of people, you know, being a little bit more considerate on the 3G network to try to reduce the cap, or rather reduce their load, right? So that they'll be more considerate in terms of when they go home, they actually connect to Wi-Fi rather than just remain on 3G.
Yeah. But here is my question. Okay, so this 10% of people, they use 60 to 80% of the bandwidth.
Right.
Now, yes, we're trying to shape their behavior by making it more expensive for them to do this. Right. But when it comes down to it, does it mean that these people will change? What if they don't change? And they still
they will. Probabilistically, some of them will change, right? Some of them won't, right? So maybe from them using 60%, they'll probably end up using 40%. But that's not going to give us a lot more space, right? I mean,
but that's my point. Is does it actually in the end? How much does it actually help Singtel?
Here's the thing, right? It helps in terms of money. It all boils down to money. If you actually take a look at it and everything, right, it really boils down to money. The more that people use in terms of data, the more that they pay, right? So for the 10%, if they actually pay for 60%, 60 to 80% of the actual cost that they actually use, right, they can actually funnel that money that they earn into building more infrastructure.
Yeah, I'm not sure I wouldn't say that Singtel is really cash strapped about building infrastructure. I don't think that's the restriction, or that's the limitation they're facing.
In that sense, they just need to make their money back, right?
Can I just say that Singtel's quarterly profit for the last quarter was 1.02 billion Singapore dollars.
Let's just say, right, like for the next few quarters, I don't think it will be that much anymore. Just FYI.
No, but Okay, fair enough, whatever. But they have cash.
And whatever
they don't have cash.
make, right? Whatever they make, right, is not just solely in Singapore. They have other stakes in.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
all
absolutely.
over Asia, right?
But I mean, I don't think they're cash strapped to build more infrastructure. That's the point.
But here's the question, right? Like, how does it make sense to actually build more infrastructure within Singapore if they're not going to make their money back in Singapore? Because the number of people in Singapore is so densely concentrated, but it doesn't make sense to build more infrastructure because of the densely saturated, amount of people.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense because it just costs too much. The cost to build versus the cost to people that are paying
Wasn't it supposed to be the other way around, guys? Because I remember long time ago there was a story about how it's actually cheaper to have infrastructure in Singapore because of the density, of population density in general, because you could basically have 10 towers and cover the entire island instead of the US. If you need like 200 towers just to cover a state.
But here's the problem now: the 10 towers, they can't cover the density anymore.
Right. So you need to have 20, right? But that's still cheaper than 200. Like, because in the US the distances are so far.
That's the thing. It sounds to me. It sounds very as a consumer, someone who doesn't have all the details. It sounds very disingenuous to say, "Oh, you're giving you less, but we're making huge profits. We're making as in all this information are freely available online, and people they know this, and when they hear it, they just go, there's something fundamentally wrong here. If they had done what Daniel suggested earlier, which was to lower the price in some way, even if it was a token amount of $2 or whatever.
They're going to make it back with the 10% up there who's paying more, right?
Precisely.
So one of the things that
disingenuous.
Yeah. So one of the things that's interesting is that M1 hasn't commented on anything.
Yeah, that's very true.
And M1 was actually, in fact, right, about when the 12 gigs came out, M1 was actually the first one to offer 12 gigs.
Yep.
M1 was the first one to offer unlimited data.
Yep. And the other two followed suit, right?
Exactly.
Could I ask though, among the four of us, are any of us on M1?
Well, my girlfriend's on M1, and the thing is this: ever since I switched to I recontracted onto Singtel, right? I just kind of regretted that decision because she never has problem with her data.
Because there's nobody
nobody using M1, right?
You know what? It might be that. It might just be that because M1 is a smaller telco.
But here's the thing, right? With this, right, and also all the plans, right, is actually for new and recontract customers. So all of us, we are not affected.
And that's starting from the 1st of July, right?
Yes, 1st of July, and it's not now, it's next month, right? So it's not so soon. So if you want to recontract now is the time.
Now.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Game Galaxy 3S.
Hey, actually, I'm gonna do it soon because I need a phone, so I'm looking out.
I'm back on the 25th. It's too late.
While we're at it, why do we?
June, right? You still have time.
Right, guys.
While we're at it, let's talk about the phones then. The stuff that Singtel is announcing LTE, and they've also listed 3 devices, right? 3 devices which they're going to be launching together with it. First of all, how wide is this LTE infrastructure? Is it going to be still the past where I can only use the phone in CBD area?
No. So even in the past, right, it was about like 20 to 30% of the coverage. Now they have actually increased it to 50% coverage of Singapore, and they're planning to increase it to about, I think, 80 or 90, close to 100% by the end of this year.
And
LTE.
And the also, devices are backward compatible, right? So, so if you don't get LTE, you still get.
It will actually fall back to 3G.
Yeah, I would definitely love it to fall back to 3G.
Oh yeah. It's automatically. And it's automatic, right?
Given the state of 3G nowadays, I think I'll much rather have no data. Anyway, you know what is the most annoying thing about data nowadays, right? Is that you get full bar on your phone, right? And then there's no data coming in, and you're like, you have no idea what on earth is going on.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, and my world too. Anyway, let's talk about the devices because this is actually something quite interesting. There's 3 devices in total. So got the LG Optimus 4G LTE, and then you've got the HTC One XL.
I wish one day there's a convention for naming things and they're not named like Optimus 4G LTE 1 plus 2 minus 49.
Oh, you gotta
KGMB LT13 GGMM.
You should check out the new laptop that Sony just announced. That name is
What is
so
it?
long with so many characters. It's just
Alright,
anyway.
guys, coming back.
So it's very interesting, right? So we have 3 devices, and only one of them is on ice cream sandwich. So the other one device that I do not understand is this one right here, the Samsung Galaxy S2 LTE.
What?
Why? It's an S2. They just launched the S3.
I guess there's only LTE one from Samsung.
Anyway, so just for those who
but if I'm not wrong, they launched the LTE Samsung S3.
The bandwidth issues, band issues. I think. I
think it's not the right.
LTE is for North America, and then the same bands don't work in Singapore.
What is our band in Singapore, by the way?
I think with the European bands.
What was it, Justin? You blogged about it, right, Justin? There was some messy thing about StarHub and Singtel not being on the same band. What was that? Do you remember?
What do you mean StarHub or Singtel not being on the
same
same
band? Yeah, because I don't quite get it here.
The frequencies were slightly off, wasn't it? Well, there was something about it.
I don't see a common band between these 3 devices. The LG I'm looking at here is 700 and 1700, and then the HTC is.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the LTE in Singapore, it's all 1900, and
okay, well then I'm looking at the wrong phones altogether.
These are the two. And wait. I wanted to share my screen, but I have no idea how to share my screen. So
screen share.
I'm trying to share like this thing. So let me see if I.
Yeah, well I have a second display, so. That's why I can do this.
Second. Let's see. Let me share my screen here, and let me.
So basically, all right.
Okay, hold on. So, okay, everybody can see that.
Yep.
All right. So I'm sharing this. So this is the LTE device, the Optimus LG, and this is the speed, the 51.66 megabits per second. Okay, these are the speeds that you're getting. This is the, of course, this is the 1X, and you're actually getting a higher speed on LTE, 65.32, and of course the upload is actually very fast because it's different, right? It's I don't know. It's ice cream sandwich. It's a better chip. I have no idea.
I would say better chip.
Yeah, and then the Galaxy S2 LTE is 46.85 and 7.16.
But
so
will we
these are
actually
the
get
speeds.
these speeds,
So let's see.
This is the actual device. This is the actual device.
Being run.
These are photos that Justin
took. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
There we go.
So yeah, I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. Go with it. Go with the HTC, man. I mean, it's better in every single way.
Hey guys,
it's
it's a huge screen, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
The HTC One X. I mean, if it's using if it's using the same display as the One X, it's an amazing display. First of all, and according to NTT, even though the processor, right? Okay, the One X processor is a NVIDIA Tegra 3, but the One XL is not using a Tegra 3. So instead of a quad-core,
it's using a dual core. Snapdragon S4 on the Crate platform, which apparently Anantech did I should link to it actually. Anantech did a review of that hardware, and apparently that hardware is like way beyond anything else that's around the market right now.
But by the way, they're all dual cores, so
but even then, like benchmarks.
Dual core standard maybe, right?
No, they were benchmarking it with Tegra 3s and like the basically latest and greatest. I can look that article up actually.
Okay. So yeah, so I mean, the One X is the One XL is definitely the one to go with because in terms of specs and all that, it's definitely much better than the rest. The display is really awesome. The camera is great too. The S2 is just last generation.
So should we just all get XLs then?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just
would you like to pay for us?
it's so.
I think you can't get the LTE phones before July, right? Can you?
Yeah, you can. Actually, it's already been launched since Wednesday, 6th of June. It's launched already.
Okay,
for the LTE.
So I can still get it with the 12 GB plans, huh?
I think so. I don't know.
Ooh.
I think so. Yeah.
And the One XL has the largest display as well, at 4.7 inches.
Yep.
Why?
IPS display.
I know this is off topic, but why? Why would anyone use a big screen?
Success. Have you seen the success of the Galaxy
Note, right? Yeah. When I was at the Galaxy S launch, like everyone seemed to be carrying a Note. It's
yeah, I know. It's
yeah.
crazy.
Note is
huge. It's a 5-inch screen.
Yeah.
And here's
and I thought my iPhone was big. I mean, come on.
No, but here's the thing, right? Like how often do you actually call on your phone nowadays?
But you know what?
I don't have a landline.
I use my phone with my hands, and like I find it a lot more comfortable to use a 3.5-inch screen with my fingers compared to typing for one thing.
Yeah, I don't know, like whatever, right? So anyways, that's off topic, and let's get back to this. So
stay on topic.
Yeah, stay on topic, and that's why I'm the
Stay
moderator
on target,
here, right?
Stay on target.
So here's the question, right? Is that do you think with these changes or going forward, do you think there will be any improvements to the network?
You know what is the thing that's gonna kill it and bring us back to square one?
What?
When the iPhone launches a 4G phone this year.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Everybody's gonna move up to the.
What's gonna happen is there's going to be some major issue with Singtel's network as it goes forward, and they won't have any reason to. They have no they can't explain it away anymore in the future. If something does happen again to Singtel's network, and with this recent cut and blah 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 blah, people are just gonna lose their ever-loving minds because. They're going to be like, oh, you charge us the same price, yet you give us less, and yet your network still went down.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. All you Singtel people, please move away from Singtel. Please move to another, like StarHub. StarHub is very good. StarHub is very good, Or M1. M1 is amazing. I'm sticking with Singtel, so you guys can go ahead,
NTT, you've got the chip specs up, is that right?
Yeah. This is Anantek's review.
Alright,
I'm not sure if you guys can see that.
Let's compare it to make sure that we are looking at the correct device right here.
So the MDP MSM 8960 is the Snapdragon S4.
Whoa.
Actually, hold
on, let me take a look. 1XL, the processor's name is called the MSM 8960.
Yep, there you go.
Is that what we're looking at?
Right.
And where's the Tegra 3?
That's the one below.
Oh, the Asus ePad. But the Asus ePad is a tablet.
Yeah, but doesn't matter, right? The point is still they're looking at but this is a benchmark one for display. Yeah.
Oh, right.
It's a hardcore processing.
Okay.
So I mean, this is like crazy numbers, right? So when my friend saw that, the interesting thing is they also have this. I know we're going off topic, but they also have this MSM 8960 in the HTC One S, which hasn't launched in Singapore.
Wait.
Launching in July.
No. It's gonna launch this week. Next week.
Okay.
It's gonna launch next Friday, and you just heard it here at TikTok Coffee Shop.
Wait, I'm sorry. What's gonna launch next Friday? I wasn't paying attention.
HTC One S, which is the sort of the middle of the line.
Oh my God! Yay!
Yeah. It's I love that phone because it's kind of right in the middle of everything.
It's the right size. It's the right everything.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't know whether this is embargoed, by the way, but next week. I don't really care. Whatever. It's happening next week.
It's Justin Lee.SG's problem. Nothing to do with Tech 65.
No.
Justin Lee.SG was the one who broke it, and not Tech 65.
We disavow all knowledge of what has just happened.
Okay, guys. Let's wrap this up. Any last words?
Wi-Fi is the way to go, man. Do you know what?
Wait. Here's the thing, right? If Singapore Wireless at SG actually worked and they improved the infrastructure there, I think it might make sense.
I was in Korea, right, and I visited a company called Iluon, and basically they provide services to infrastructure services to service providers, mobile providers, right?
Can we bring them here?
They've been trying to come into Singapore apparently, but apparently
do they need
competition is quite stiff. No, it's competition. They don't need context. Come on.
Okay.
They probably have more context than you. But and that's saying a lot, But anyway, they have this new technology where the device is able to seamlessly switch from 3G to Wi-Fi. It's able to know that there's a Wi-Fi network nearby, switch to it to a reliable Wi-Fi, and just seamlessly.
Open network or?
That I'm not very sure. So
should be open lah.
Yeah, probably.
Well, there will be security issues then.
I can't remember what was exactly the thing, but basically it's a seamlessly switching between networks. So I think that is something that will be really nice.
But it won't work with an iPhone, right? You probably need a custom OS for that.
Yeah, probably. Or a phone must have been built to support it and stuff.
All right, Jarek, your turn.
Yes, thank you, Daniel. You talk a lot. Hi. What I wanted to say is that when it comes down to it, I think as a consumer, we don't really have much of a choice in Singapore, and that is one of the major issues. At least with fiber optic, I think now we are getting proper choice. We have multiple ISPs. Would
you like to name the ISP?
Super Internet, My Republic,
Quest. You're reading off the conversation we just had on Yammer just this afternoon, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I was reading that. Yeah, so at least there's choice there. I mean, the fact that we don't have choice, we only have basically a triopoly. I made up that word just then. Between
it's difficult.
Singtel and M1. It makes it very difficult for the consumer. I think we just get.
It's difficult to enter a mobile service provider.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not. I mean, if they did what they did with the fiber optic and made it open, like everyone could just use the same network, then that's fine. But they can't do that because who's gonna build? I mean, no one's gonna build.
Well, in the US, they have these things, right? What they call MVNOs. Something called Ting, which is coming up.
They had that in Singapore. Yeah. They had Virgin in Singapore, but they closed down after like a year.
Because those are the guys who could do, who could sort of, come in this kind of situation and say, okay, we are going to use Singtel, backhaul, but we're going to give you much better plans or much more targeted plans. Because if you have this MNVOs or whatever they're called, they're able to change plans and give you more targeted plans for your kind of.
But then there's to be a diversity of Singtel. Singtel could raise the prices to them. At the end.
Right.
And then they have no choice.
The way it works is because they get charged on bulk, so they can buffer that and then sort of deal with Singtel.
Then that doesn't seem like a very economical.
Apparently, it works quite well in the US. Maybe it's the size. I'm not sure, but there's a couple of them and they're doing quite well. I've been hearing about Ting recently.
The thing about MNVOs is they buy it in bulk. So they buy a bulk amount of data of Singtel or whatever, and they will just use that and they will just resell it onto their customer. It's really as simple as that. And so that's why it works, because the price is set. The price is fixed for them. So they just have to make sure that it's competitively priced.
All right.
But anyway, I mean, yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to cut you off because you talk a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's your turn.
All right. No, I mean, like I said, I kind of expected this one way or another. 12 GB was, just too much.
Yes.
Yeah, but I was hoping, it'd be a bit more than 2, maybe like 4, where most, like guaranteed most people are kind of fine, but those YouTube, those people who watch YouTube on MRT have to pay more. So 2 is a bit too little for me. I'm kind of scared because I'm afraid I'll go over. But
me too.
Yeah.
But we have 2 years more to think about that. So
yeah. Absolutely.
Well, technically speaking, you renewed the same time as me, right? Which is we have pretty much like a year and a half.
So I have a year to think about that. So
I have a bit more than a year, depending on when I sign up.
Yeah. You better sign up before the 31st
July,
right?
Yeah.
I have actually my contract is actually run out, so I actually can renew.
You should then before.
Yeah. Why don't you?
No, but I can't. I can't. I wish I could.
You can renew it online. Yeah.
Yeah, do it online.
Yeah, do it online.
What should I get, guys? Okay, we should probably
offline.
cut here. Ask you guys now. So what should I get?
So let's
thank you.
Oh, hey me. What about me?
Yeah, what do you have to say?
So NTD, are you done?
No, you don't matter.
I don't matter. Oh God.
Justin, go on.
All right. So I think in that sense, I really applaud that Singtel actually took the bit the bullet and actually pissed off everyone. I think
it was something that they had to do.
Actually,
it is something that they had to do.
But it helped StarHub because by Singtel cutting their data cap, StarHub was just like, you can do it like 3 hours later, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
It's their fault.
It's not their fault, Exactly right. So I think Singtel did the right thing. I think it was great, but I also think that they could have helped out a little bit more of the guys that are actually the 10% to kind of lower their their cost, right? That they're going to use, and also with regards to the whole LTE that's coming up, right? I certainly hope that with this new kind of revision and this kind of pricing plan, right, that the growth of LTE wouldn't be explosive, right? That it catch them off guard and whatnot. They can actually slowly grow the network and grow the technology at a more decent rate, so that it doesn't become shit. Right.
Yeah,
so that's
I think
essentially it.
I'm hoping
crap,
that
goes our safe for work.
I'm hoping
know,
to see. I'm hoping to see more technologies in the coming future where every part of the chain, right, from the service providers to the operating systems, start to think about smart bandwidth, smart data usage. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's it for Tech Talk Coffee Shop episode 5. Do check us out on tech65.org and all our various shows at youtube.com/65bits. Did I miss out any more thing? Oh, like us, definitely. Like us below somewhere, I don't know where it is. Give us a thumbs up if you like it. If you do not like it, please
don't do anything.
Comment. No, like comment and tell us how we can improve, how we can improve, right?
But
and
of
course,
what?
do catch us.
You know what? We love to have a conversation. I mean, I think the whole idea of all our audio podcasts and our discussions it's about the discussion. So
Exactly.
I don't. If you disagree with us, absolutely, feel free to argue with us. We would love to argue back. This is the whole point of the whole show, right?
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. If you want to join us on next episode of Tech Talk Coffee Shop, just drop us a line and we'll try to get you in.
Exactly, and of course, if with YouTube we can actually have video response, and we look forward to hear to your response, your video response, and do catch us for our next Tech Talk Coffee Shop, which will be happening. When will it be happening, NTT?
In a couple of weeks. We try to do it every
couple of weeks. I think we're gonna do it next week,
right?
Yeah, for WWDC.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do it. Yeah, of course.
How there is WWDC.
There's gonna be WWDC.
Live.
We are going to do we can make it a Tech Talk Coffee Shop, but we're definitely going to hang out and we're going to open it up to everyone so we can hang out and talk about what happens following the WWDC keynote. It's going to be Tuesday night, I want to say.
Yes, Tuesday early morning.
I won't be around though, so have fun.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be
so
around.
anyways, do catch us during the WWDC when they actually announce something. Yeah, WWDC, when they announce something interesting. So do catch us on Tech Talk Coffee Shop episode 6. And this is Justin and the rest of the team, Daniel, Jarek, and NTT.
Which, by the way, until now you still haven't introduced us.
Oh, sorry.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Daniel is Jarek. I'm Jarek. That's Jarek. I'm Justin, by the way, and that's NTT over there. I got no idea where, but yeah. Sorry about that.
Bye, everyone.
All right, I'll catch you guys on the next episode. We'll catch you guys then. Bye.
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 Okay, can we? So yeah.